Wonderful news, everyone. For this blind intro, Kita has very generously offered to do the voice of clubs. Hello and welcome to the No One Asked You podcast. For this particular series, I am joined by my wonderful co-host, that darn Kita.
Dorkus and I are both going into this story completely new with almost no knowledge of the story or world.
Each segment, we intend to cover what happens in each new chapter and discuss our experience along the way.
Hold on to your butts, because this is Ascension Unleashed, a blind read-through, and today we'll be covering Chapter 27.
Chapter 27.
Listen, guys, Mr. Grumpy said that I'm kidding. Wonderful co-host, so I feel quite privileged. Yeah.
I just enjoy hearing you try to do the voices.
It's yeah. It's fun to do. That's all I'll say.
But yes, we have promised to do 27 as a blind read. I did notice it's the last chapter in this segment of book, so I'm expecting some exciting action. How about you, Kita?
Yeah, it's the end of part 2 after this chapter. So I am excited.
How are things gonna go wrong, do you think? Is Vin gonna kiss Zane and then get caught by Elend?
Why would she do? No, definitely not. Zane's gonna mess some stuff up.
It's too soon.
Maybe? Yeah, too soon. But Zane would probably mess stuff up.
Oh no.
Yeah. I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah, let's get into it. I'm scared.
Let's
see.
Let's go. He was no simple soldier. He was a force of leadership, a man that fate itself seemed to support.
Okay.
I suppose we all know those people, right? Those people who can just command a room and who do so well, have such charisma, right?
Yep. And it's just, you can't help but follow them. You can just, a force of leadership. I love that. I love that wording.
Yeah.
And fate itself seemed to support is the same sort of thing as, just things just fell into place for him as well.
The mandate of heaven. It's a Chinese thing.
I know.
It's, oh gosh, I don't know quite how to articulate it other than to say it is heaven's will that this family rule as emperors for this time. And then as the dynastic cycle occurs and there ends up being a new emperor, the old empire loses the mandate of heaven and it is granted to the new one, essentially. I don't want to try and over-explain it because I'm confident I would not do it properly, but it's really neat for those who want to look into it.
Sweet. But I don't know, I was gonna try and integrate the Monty Python joke, because it's just like ladies handing out this one. I'll play it just so you understand what I mean. And don't worry, you'll cut it out. This. It's no system for government. Whatever. Anyway. Okay, go.
King, I didn't vote for him. Very well, Straff said, setting down his fork. Let's be honest, boy. I'm this close to simply having you killed. You'd execute your only son? Elend asked. Straff shrugged. That is definitely a Straff thing to do. That's funny, Straff, to me. There's something kind of humorous in the way I've just imagined his shrug.
You're like, well, what do you expect? Sorry, I'm just Straff, We were just talking about Elend trying to convince Straff that he doesn't know how bad Straff is. And so you'd execute your only son is a good response to show, like, oh, I didn't know. I didn't know that you were trying to execute me. And he's just like, So now that's gone.
Yeah. There's irony there.
Yeah.
What I think I find so funny about the shrug, as I have imagined it, is that I have said repeatedly that I feel like Straff is a little too much of a mustache twirler. And I feel like this is Straff himself acknowledging it. So if we
Mm.
had a little bit of Straff saying, yeah, I'm over the top, I know it, deal with it, that would make me like him so much more as a villain, I think. So
But I love that it's done in without words. It's just him shrugging. It's like, yeah. So it
yeah,
works. Look, I know in the interaction, it's the shrug means something else. But for
yeah.
us, the way that you've interpreted it for me, I'm like, yeah, but that's nice that we have just a shrug, because it's just like, yeah, he bad. That's it.
You need me, Ellen said, to help you fight Set. You can kill me, but you'd gain nothing. You'd still have to take Luthadel by force, and Set would still be able to attack and defeat you in your weakened state. Straff smiled, folding his arms, leaning forward so he loomed over the table. You are wrong on both counts, boy. First, I think that if I killed you, the next leader of Luthadel would be more accommodating. I have certain interests in the city who indicate that is true. Second, I don't need your help to fight Set. He and I already have a treaty. So
Oh,
that's new information, if it can be trusted.
yeah,
And
that's another thing. Can we trust that?
on two fronts. To be clear, I was referring to the Set treaty as the new information. But
Yes.
the first part of that little monologue was, I think, feeding into my theory of a coup.
Yep. Yeah. He's not as stable. He isn't as necessary.
No.
He's actually the only thing that the city is holding on to. The only reason they're resisting in any case.
Yeah.
They were so ready to just be like, yeah.
Yeah. Is it any surprise that some of them would have already reached out privately to Straff?
Yeah. Nope, not at all.
Ellen paused. What? What do you think I've been doing these last few weeks? Sitting and waiting on your whims? Set and I have exchanged pleasantries. He's not interested in the city. He only wants Theatium. We agreed to split what we discover in Luthadel, then work together to take the rest of the final empire. He conquers to the west and north. I head east and south. Very accommodating man, Set. So, first off, don't skip over the part about having certain interests in the city who indicate that is true. Please don't. But he's probably more thinking now about the Set situation, right?
Yeah, it's the biggest, loudest, scariest thing. And we didn't have discussions about this possibility with the crew and things like that. So, what do we do? But his response that comes up here is what we initially did as well, what we thought.
Yeah, we're more worried about the inner stuff rather than the outer stuff. Especially, this is where the Kolos army that's coming is going to be beneficial to Elend.
That's exactly what I was thinking. I'm like, okay, cool. Damn it. Kolos. Okay.
Yeah. And that could be a trump card if they really don't know. And I hope as commanders they would know, but if they don't, Elend still might have a trump card.
And they haven't, if they don't know, then he can exchange pleasantries. See how that goes.
And what does this mean for when Elend goes to Set? And what does this mean for Alrion?
Alrion's just going to be with Breezy, man. She doesn't care.
Yeah. He's bluffing, Elend thought with reasonable certainty. That wasn't Straff's way. He wouldn't make an alliance with someone so near to him in strength. Straff feared betrayal too much. You think I would believe that? Believe what you wish. And the Kolos army marching this way? Elend asked, playing one of their trump cards. Oh, there you go, trump card.
Literally, oh my gosh, did you read this?
No, I didn't.
Wow, that's really cool. But yeah, so he played it. I don't know if I wanted him to play it so quickly, but here we go. I don't know. You don't have to play it by telling him. You can feel it out. Yeah.
Yeah, but what other choice does he have, I guess? This made Straff pause. If you want to take Luthadel before those Kolos get here, Father, Elend said, then I think you might want to be a little more accommodating toward the man who's come offering everything you want. I only ask one thing. Let me have a victory. Let me fight Set, secure my legacy, then you can have the city. So, good, Elend. You are leaning on the legacy part, because that should appeal to Straff as well as a venture.
Yeah, and showing a bit more of like, this is what I want kind of thing, rather than saying, I want a legacy, a blah, blah, blah. He's saying, secure my legacy and like, give me a victory. Like, those are the things that we need him to sound like. That's how he needs to sound to Straff.
Yeah.
And he didn't sound like that too much in the previous chapter. It seemed a little bit more clunky. So this, I like this. Yeah.
The only other thing I would add to that is maybe say something like, you were right, Father. You've been right all along. I have been an idiot. Let me grow into the man you've tried so hard to make me be, so that I can be worthy of being your heir. Just really sort of lay it on a little thick for him.
Yeah, that seemed quite thick and like quite a like
ego stroking.
Yeah, and he might find that to be an indicator that he's bluffing. So
I guess
might be too much. Like he goes, I know you would never ever change.
Having said it and then having heard you say that, I think I agree. Yeah.
Yeah. Straff would be like,
oh
really? Yeah, a pinch of it, but like you have to keep him thinking you're absolutely pathetic and stupid. You have to keep that, because that as long as you can anticipate how he's going to feel about you, it works.
Straff thought about it long enough that Elend dared to hope he might have won. Then Straff shook his head. No, I think not. I'll take my chances with Shet. I don't know why he is willing to let me have Luthadel, but he doesn't seem to care much about it. And you do? You know we don't have the Atium. What does the city matter to you now? Straff leaned forward a bit farther. Elend could smell his breath, odorous from the dinner spices. That's where you are wrong about me, boy. That's why, even if you'd been able to promise me that Atium, you would never have left this camp tonight. I made a mistake a year ago. If I'd stayed in Luthadel, I would have been the one on that throne. Instead, it was you. I can't imagine why. I guess a weak venture was still better than the other alternatives. So, if Straff had stayed,
he'd be dead.
If he did, House Venture, or what was left of it, would not have gone to help keep Alariel. Not keep Alariel, keep Hastings?
Hastings, yes, yeah.
Lacal. It was the Lacal house, because it was Justice's.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, okay.
Keep Lacal. Elend probably would have gone to Doxon, though, I think, to try and
by
help.
Himself.
And
yeah,
by himself. He would not have then had. Would Straff have let him take a few bodyguards then?
No, maybe, I don't know, like one or two, but he would think that they're negligible anyway in the chaos.
Yeah, so then I do think Elend would have been able to find his way to Vin.
Straff would have had to busy himself trying to rally his own forces against the Scar Rebellion, and the Scar Rebellion was taking over, or people, and I say taking over, like soldiers that were assigned to the Lord Ruler, they were changing sides. So I don't think he would have had as much success as he thinks.
Yes, okay. Here it is. Straff wouldn't have sent his men to keep Lacal. Therefore, both Straff and Lacal would have fallen. But Elend would have been fine, because he would have gone to Doxon, and then he would have gone to Vin. And he still would have given the speech that he gave, and the Ska would still have named him king. Therefore, Straff is wrong here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Straff was everything Elend had hated about the old empire. Presumptuous, cruel, arrogant. Weakness, Elend thought, calming himself. I can't be threatening. He shrugged. It's only a city, Father. From my position, it doesn't matter half as much as your army. It's more than a city, Straff said. It's the Lord Ruler's city, and it has my home in it, my keep. I understand that you're using it as your palace. I didn't really have any other place to go. Straff turned back to his meal. All right, he said in between cutting chunks of steak. At first I thought you were an idiot for coming tonight, but now I'm not so certain. You must have seen the inevitable. You're stronger, Ellen said. I can't stand up to you. Straff nodded. You've impressed me, boy. Wearing proper clothing, getting yourself a mistborn mistress, maintaining control of the city. I'm going to let you live. Oh,
Oh,
so
he was
good?
going to kill him.
Yeah, he was going to kill him.
But he's like, oh, maybe you're useful. I would hate to throw away this. So instead of Ellen going, look, I've changed. I'm better. I want to be the man that you that line. Instead, he's shown it, and Straff has noted it, the difference, and gone, this might be useful to me.
Right. But the difference here being that by showing it, he has shown it. Whereas if he pled it, I imagine it would come off as more insecure. Then again, clearly Straff is smart and is able to see that he has shown the change. So,
and it isn't Ellen like yielding and saying, "Please, Dad, let me be a better son." It's none of that. It's Straff allowing him to live.
It is. So do you think then that the tactic will change and Ellen will pretend to not be weak, or rephrase, will allow himself to show a bit of his hidden strength?
Because he sees that his dad needs to see it, but I don't know about him doing it now.
Okay.
Right now. Yeah. What do you think?
I think he could pull it off if he went a bit stronger now. Just a little bit, not overly much. But it's a fine line to walk. We'll see. Thank you, Ellen said. I know we broke the rhythm here, but that line is very funny to me.
Yeah, like, thank you for letting me live.
Yeah. I'm going to let you live. Thank you, Ellen said. And in exchange, you're going to give me Luthadel. As soon as Set is dealt with. Straff laughed. No, that's not the way these things work, boy. We're not negotiating. You're listening to my orders. Tomorrow we'll ride to the city together, and you'll order the gates opened. I'll march my army in and take command, and Luthadel will become the new capital of my kingdom. If you stay in line and do as I say, I'll name you heir again. We can't do that, Ellen said. I left orders that the gates weren't to be open to you no matter what. Straff paused. Ooh.
Oh yeah, this is it. Like, this is the moment it comes down to, because look, if it is Ellen's life, he'd rather die than give him Luthadel. So
yes, and this is where he's going to reveal his strength a little bit, I think.
Yes, yeah. I'm excited for that. He has already by saying, no, we can't do that, and I've left orders. So let's go, Ellen, let's go.
Straff paused. My advisors thought you might try to use Vin as a hostage, forcing me to relinquish the city, Ellen said. If we go together, they'll assume you're threatening me. That's a good bluff right there.
Right, it's working. Oh, it's working. It works for me. Come on, take it. Take it, Straff.
Yeah. Straff's mood darkened. You'd better hope that they don't. They will, Ellen said. I know these men, Father. They'd be eager for an excuse to take the city away from me. Then why come here? To do as I said, to negotiate an alliance against Set. I can deliver Luthadel to you, but I still need time. Let's take down Set first. Straff grabbed his knife by the hilt and slammed it down into the table. I said this wasn't a negotiation. You don't make demands, boy. I could have you killed. Oh shit, he's losing his shit.
Yeah, he stabbed the table. What did the table do to you? But yeah, I could have you killed. And you know what? The thing is, Ellen does not care if you kill him. Okay?
He doesn't. He does, but he doesn't.
He does. Yeah, he does. It's not like he's like, okay, cool, let's go. I'll jump off a cliff or whatever. But it's like, he's like, that is not going to threaten me. That is not the card you think it is. I'm not like you.
Yup. I'm merely stating facts, Father, Ellen said quickly. I don't want to. You've gotten smooth, Straff said, eyes narrowing. What did you hope to accomplish with this game? Coming to my camp? Bringing nothing to offer? He paused, then continued. Nothing to offer except for that girl. Pretty little thing she is. Gross.
Mm.
Disavow.
Oh, God.
Ellen flushed. That won't get you into the city. Remember, my advisors thought you might try threatening her. Fine, Straff said. You die, I take the city by force. And Set attacks you from behind, Ellen said, pinning you against our wall and forcing you to fight surrounded. He'd take heavy losses. He wouldn't be able to take and hold the city after that. Even with Yeah, but he said he didn't want the city. He wanted the Adium.
Is that not Straff's bluff? That he doesn't want the city?
No, because we know Breeze said that he doesn't like Luthadel. He prefers his homeland.
Yes, true.
Yeah, still a losing proposition for Straff.
Mm-hmm.
He'd take heavy losses. He wouldn't be able to take and hold the city after that. Even with the diminished forces, he'd have a better chance of taking it from us than he would if he waited and then tried to take it from you. Straff stood.
It's true. That's true. That's a good way of putting it. I like that way of putting it.
Yeah. Straff stood. I'll have to take that chance. I left you behind before. I'm not going to let you loose again, boy. Those cursed Ska were supposed to kill you and leave me free of you. Ellen stood as well. He could see the resolve in Straff's eyes. It isn't working, Ellen thought, panic beginning to set in. The plan had been a gamble, but he had never really thought he'd fail. Indeed, he'd played his cards well. But something was wrong. Something he hadn't anticipated and still didn't understand. Why was Straff resisting so much? Why do you think he's resisting too much?
Just wants Ellen dead. I don't know.
Do you think he's answering to the obligators more so than
Ooh.
thought?
Yeah, that's a good. There's another factor. There's something he's missing.
What else could it be? Do you think he already made promises to Set? Like his situation with Set is worse off than he had thought or has implied?
Yeah, there's something. I need more information. I
Yeah.
got nothing.
Or maybe he is that afraid of the Kolos.
Yeah, maybe he's just now. Yeah, I was saying maybe he's just now found out about the Kolos, but I think he did know.
So we've obviously had so much POV time with Ellen. If you're Straff, what do you do? Because my first thought is to say, fine, go along with it. But we know that that's going to be playing into Ellen's hands. So if you're Straff, Kitte, what's your next move?
I don't want to play into Ellen's hand. I'm full of crap because I'm Straff. So I just, you know what? I want to kill my son. He irritates me.
I hate to say it. Yeah, I think that's the way to go. So
I'd rather he would rather deal with whatever's going on in Luthadel with the assembly and all of that. Just get rid of it. Yeah.
Luthadel cannot stand the siege for long, and I would bet that they would be more inclined. Well, would they? Do you think the assembly would be more inclined to make a deal with Straff or Set? Straff wants to stay, and they all knew what kind of man your father was, whereas Set wants the Atium and leaves. Now, we don't know what kind of man Set is, but it could be that when they say, hey, Set, we don't have the Atium, he could raise the city for funsies and then leave. Either way, Set is leaving, so he could be a better side. Either way, I'm saying Luthadel can't withstand a siege indefinitely. So I think Straff's better play here would be to either join with Set as promised and then siege the city, or take out Set on his own and then try to continue to siege the city. But then there's the Kolos.
Yeah. That's what I like about how overwhelming the situation is. It's like, I just don't know what I would do.
Yeah. Straff needs to ally with Set for the Kolos and just leave Luthadel to the siege. Let that be. That's what I would do if I were him, I think.
Kolos are gonna wreck stuff.
Yes. So I think I said it from Ellen's POV several episodes ago, but in this case, if I'm Straff, I say the three of us take on the Kolos and then deal with the aftermath after.
If you're good Straff, if you're a reasonable Straff who's thinking
I think
clearly.
if you're survival instinct Straff, and then hold your armies back and hope that, you know, you come out on top. Not like hold them back indefinitely, but, you know, send them in when you know it's as safe as it's gonna be. Cleanup crew style.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, gosh, this is too good, too juicy. I'm too new to this, Ellen thought. Ironically, if he had let his father train him better as a child, he might have known what he'd done wrong. As it was, he suddenly realized the gravity of his situation. Surrounded by a hostile army, separated from Vin. He was going to die. Wait! Ellen said desperately. Ah, Straff said, smiling. Finally realized what you've gotten yourself into? There was pleasure in his father's smile, eagerness. There had always been something inside Straff that had enjoyed hurting others, though Ellen had rarely seen it applied to him. Propriety had always been there to stop Straff. Propriety enforced by the Lord Ruler. At that moment, Ellen saw murder in his father's eyes. You never intended to let me live, Ellen said, even if I'd given you the atium, even if I'd gone with you to the city. You were dead the moment I decided to march here. Idiot boy. I do thank you for bringing me that girl, though. I'll take her tonight. We'll see if she cries my name or yours while I'm... Ellen laughed. Oh, geez.
Whoa! That line from Strap slap! Kill him!
I mean, yes, do that, please. But Ellen's laugh...
Yeah, I don't know. Ellen's laughing because it's like, yes, sure, you can take Vin. I hope
Good luck
that's
trying.
Yeah.
That's what that laugh was to me.
Well, it's what I would do.
Ellen laughed. It was a desperate laugh. A laugh at the ridiculous situation he'd gotten himself into, a laugh at his sudden worry and fear, but most of all it was a laugh at the idea of Straff trying to force himself upon Vin. You have no idea how foolish you sound, Ellen said. Straff flushed. For that boy, I'll be extra rough with her. You are a pig, father, Ellen said. A sick, disgusting man. You thought you were a brilliant leader, but you were barely competent. You nearly got our house destroyed. Only the Lord Ruler's own death saved you. Straff called for his guards. You might take Luthadel, but you'll lose it. I may have been a bad king, but you'll be a terrible one. The Lord Ruler was a tyrant, but he was also a genius. You're neither. You're just a selfish man who'll use up his resources, then end up dead from a knife in the back. So, a part of me is really, really, really hoping that Zane is listening into this right now.
Well, I would expect him to be. I mean, he's not going to be away. He's going to be curious as to what's going on here.
Unless he's off with Vin right now.
Vin would not leave Ellen. She would not leave Ellen in this situation. I would be very upset if Vin has left Ellen for a walk.
Yeah, no, and she presumably has had metal before leaving Luthadel. So good luck trying to have captured her after leaving the tent. She should still be right outside listening in.
And they would have been quite a ruckus if there had been an attempt.
Yeah. Straff pointed at Ellen as soldiers rushed in. Ellen didn't cringe. He'd grown up with this man, been raised by him, been tortured by him, and despite it all, Ellen had never spoken his mind. He'd rebelled with the petty timidity of a teenage boy, but he'd never spoken the truth. It felt good. It felt right. Perhaps playing the weak hand was a mistake against Straff. He was always fond of crushing things. And suddenly, Ellen knew what he had to do. He smiled, looking Straff in the eyes. Kill me, father, he said, and you'll die too. What a great first part of this chapter.
What do you think of Ellen saying maybe playing the weakness wasn't a good approach.
If he had come in strong, faux strong, I think, gosh, it's hard to say.
Yeah.
I think Straff would have called the bluff because Elend didn't know that Straff knew about the Atium. Therefore, I think Straff was going to think more or less whatever it was that he was going to think. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I really don't think a strong approach would have changed it because Elend is in the weak position. He has nothing to offer.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
he is not a threat. So you can't play the strong one because you can't do enough damage with just posturing. As much as
Yeah.
Straff is all about posturing, he's smart enough to know that it doesn't matter how much you strut around, he can still kill you.
Yeah, he might have been able to play the Alrion card after learning that Straff and Set have some sort of agreement worked out, or he could have gone to Set first and then Straff after. Maybe.
That would put him in a better position to be strong against Straff. But the point is he was trying to get both sides to ally with him.
Yeah.
Ooh. Okay, so here we go. Let's go into the next. I think we're going to Vin's POV.
Kill me, father, Elend said, and you'll die too. Vin paused. She stood outside the tent in the darkness of early night. She'd been standing with Straff's soldiers, but they'd rushed in at his command. She'd moved into the darkness and now stood on the north side of the tent, watching the shadowed forms move within. She'd been about to burst in. Elend hadn't been doing very well. Not that he was a bad negotiator, he was simply too honest by nature. It wasn't difficult to tell when he was bluffing, especially if you knew him well. But this new proclamation was different. It wasn't a sign of Elend attempting to be clever, nor was it an angry outburst like the one he'd made moments before. Suddenly he seemed calm and forceful. Yay! I hope this is attractive to Vin.
Look, I'm not worried about the attraction right now, but she's noticed she's noticed that change in him when he said it felt good, it felt right. She noticed that.
Yeah,
but what's Vin gonna do? Why is she waiting? Okay, so I guess she's being smart. I trust Vin more than what I would do.
But this new proclamation was different. It wasn't a sign of Elend attempting to be clever, nor was it an angry outburst like the one he'd made moments before. Suddenly he seemed calm and forceful. Oh, but where is Zane right now? Because if Straff's about to kill Elend, and Zane is there and able to distract Vin, Elend could die.
Yeah, I was thinking about the possibility that Elend does die. And then I'm like, well, what the hell is Vin gonna do?
Oh my gosh.
No, we can't have Elend die. Elend can't die!
Because I feel like Elend felt earlier in this chapter, I never even considered his death as a possibility.
Mm-hmm.
And now Yedden, and now Marsh-ish, and now Kelsey are just, oh shit.
Let's go, let's see.
Vin waited quietly, her daggers out, tense in the mists before the glowing tent. Something told her she had to give Elend a few more moments. Straff laughed at Elend's threat. You're a fool, father, Elend said. You think I came here to negotiate? You think I would willingly deal with one such as you? No. You know me better than that. You know that I'd never submit to you. Then why? Straff asked. She could almost hear Elend's smile. I came to get near you, father, and to bring my Mistborn to the very heart of your camp. Silence. Finally, Straff laughed. You threaten me with that wisp of a girl? If that's the great Mistborn of Luthadel I've been hearing of, then I'm sorely disappointed. That's because she wants you to feel that way. Think, father. You were suspicious, and the girl confirmed those suspicions. But if she's as good as the rumors say, and I know you've heard the rumors, then how would you have spotted her touch on your emotions? You caught her soothing you, and you called her on it. Then you didn't feel the touch anymore, so you assumed that she was cowed. But after that, you began to feel confident, comfortable. You dismissed Vin as a threat, but would any rational man dismiss a Mistborn, no matter how small or quiet? In fact, you'd think that the small, quiet ones would be the assassins you'd want to pay the most attention to. Vin smiled.
Clever.
She thought. She reached out, rioting Straff's emotions, flaring her mettle, and stoking his sense of anger. He gasped in sudden shock.
Take the clue, Elend.
Fear, Elend said. Oh, I love this chapter so much.
They're working together.
Elend's gonna die, isn't he?
Oh, yeah. It would be a good send-off.
Because he's had his apotheosis, right?
Yes.
He's been self-actualized here.
Exactly. Yeah. That calmness, it felt good, it felt right, and oh no, but I want this not. I want him to continue. Okay, I want him to live. Let's go.
Mm-hmm. Fear, Elend said. She soothed away Straff's anger and exchanged it for fear. Passion, she complied. Calmness. She soothed everything away. Inside the tent, she saw Straff's shadow standing stiffly. An Allomancer couldn't force a person to do anything, and usually, strong pushes or pulls on an emotion were less effective, since they alerted the target that something was wrong. In this case, Vin wanted Straff to know for certain that she was watching. She smiled, extinguishing her tin. Then she burned Duralumin and soothed Straff's emotions with explosive pressure, wiping away all capacity for feeling within him. His shadow stumbled back beneath the attack. So cool!
So cool! I'll take another vial, because she's gotten... Oh, wait, she extinguished everything. Okay, she's still got stuff. Okay, she's good. She's good. Yes! I was worried that she was burning everything and doing a huge thing. It's like, no. She extinguished everything else and just focused that one metal. So she's still got metals in reserve that she can use to fight. I'm just thinking of it that way. But also, it's just so
Smart.
cool. She did psychic damage like you cannot believe. We wanted to know what this would be like, and here it is. Oh.
Yes. Her brass was gone a moment later, and she turned on her tin again, watching the black patterns on the canvas. She's powerful, Father, Elend said. She's more powerful than any Allomancer you've known. She killed the Lord Ruler. She was trained by the survivor of Hathsin, and if you kill me, she'll kill you.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
She'll lose it. I know that she's, feeling some kind of way. She's got some feelings about Elend and whatever. She still loves him, and taking him away from her would be descent to dark Vin.
Yeah.
It
would be Kelsier after losing Marsh.
Yeah, exactly. There's nothing, you don't know what's going to happen, and she would be beyond Zane. Okay.
Yeah.
Unless she just is like,
she would black out.
Yeah. Oof.
Straff righted himself, and the tent fell silent again. Footsteps sounded. Vin spun, ducking, raising her dagger. A familiar figure stood in the night mists. Why is it I can never sneak up on you? Zane asked quietly. Vin shrugged and turned back to the tent, but moved herself so she could keep an eye on Zane too. He walked over and crouched beside her, watching the shadows. I don't like that Zane is here now. They were doing something. She can't be distracted.
No, she can't be distracted, and he is a threat. They've sparred and stuff, and they've fought. But
Elend made his point, though. I think he's okay for the moment.
Okay.
I hope. Famous last words? So help me, if Elend dies, if something happens to Elend...
We're done. We're quitting.
Vin shrugged and turned back to the tent, but moved herself so she could keep an eye on Zane too. He walked over and crouched beside her, watching the shadows. That's hardly a useful threat, Straff finally said from within. You'll be dead, even if your Mistborn does get to me. Ah, Father. I was wrong about your interest in Luthadel. However, you're also wrong about me. You've always been wrong about me. I don't care if I die, not if it brings safety to my people. That is such a king right there.
That's what hello, that is the core of Elend. That's his trump card. It's like, so I'm not selfish the way you are, so I don't work the same way. We are not the same.
Set will take the city if I'm gone, Straff said. I think my people might be able to hold against him, Ellen said. After all, he has the smaller army. This is idiocy, Straff snapped, but he didn't order his soldiers forward any farther. Kill me and you die too, Ellen said. And not only you, your generals, your captains, even your obligators. She has orders to slaughter you all. This would have been a great moment to lie and say that Zane is on their side too. But he's a bad liar. That's not an Ellen move, but he could reveal that he knows Straff has a Mistborn. I retract my statement.
Yeah, I don't think it would work.
Yeah, it's not Ellen. I said it because that's what I would do, but it's not him. So.
Yeah, and Zane is too much of a wild card for you to say that he's on your side. He would not like that.
He doesn't necessarily have to be, though. It's a bluff.
Yeah, I know it's a bluff, but he is a wild card that if you say that, you might set him off. So
yeah.
Don't fuck with him. Keep away from him.
Fair. Okay, yeah, I double retract my statement. Zane took a step closer to Vin, his feet crunching slightly on the packed down weeds that made up the floor of the camp. But of course, this would be a good time for Vin to try to win him over. Just saying.
It'll be difficult because it's quite a moment.
It's true. Ah, he whispered. Clever. No matter how strong your opponent is, he can't attack you if you've got a knife at his throat. Zane leaned closer and Vin looked up at him, their faces mere inches apart. He shook his head in the soft mists. But tell me, why is it that people like you and me always have to be the knives? Inside the tent, Straff was growing concerned. No one is that powerful, boy, he said. Not even a Mistborn. She might be able to kill some of my generals, but she'd never get to me. I have my own Mistborn. Okay, well, good that topic at least is coming up. I'm glad.
Yeah, from Straff. So from Straff. Now you'll see. Now Ellen is playing the card that he has more information.
Oh, Ellen said. And why hasn't he killed her? Because he's afraid to attack? If you kill me, father, if you even make so much as a move toward my city, then she'll begin the slaughter. Men will die like prisoners before the fountains on a day of execution. I thought you said he was above this kind of thing, Zane whispered. You claimed you weren't his tool. You said he wouldn't use you as an assassin. So, technically, one, Zane, that's not assassin. That's army stuff right there. That is WMD stuff. Second, Ellen is quasi-bluffing. I mean, the plan, as we've heard it, is for her to get Ellen out safely. This threat wasn't part of the plan. So Zane, not as strong a comment as you might think it is what I'm saying here.
Yeah, I mean, that's where Vin goes with it now.
Vin shuffled uncomfortably.
He's bluffing, Zane. He'd never actually do anything like that.
I believe her. I believe that of Ellen. Zane's not going to believe her.
Well, Vin did shuffle uncomfortably, so she is considering it.
Yeah, well, I mean, she would, because Ellen died, and she would be blackout furious.
Yeah, it's not. It's not that because Ellen said so.
Exactly.
Yeah.
She is an Allomancer like you've never seen, father, Ellen said, voice muffled by the tent. I've seen her fight other Allomancers. None of them can even touch her. Is that true? Zane asked. Vin paused. In fact, Ellen hadn't ever seen her attack other Allomancers.
He saw me attack some soldiers once, and I've told him about my fights with other Allomancers.
He's seen you fight Ham.
Yeah, but not Mistborn.
Yeah. Well, but he said Allomancer. He did not say Mistborn there.
Oh, true.
Ah, Zane said softly. So it's only a small lie. Those are fine when one is king. Many things are. Exploiting one person to save an entire kingdom? What leader wouldn't pay such a cheap price? Your freedom in exchange for his victory. Shut up, Zane.
Yeah, honestly, yeah, really.
What a terrible, ill thought out
Get over yourself.
line. There's bluffing and there's confidence in Vin. That's
Yeah, there's confidence in
terrible.
Vin, and also Vin cares about the people. Vin is not being used just as a tool that has no feelings or will of her own. She also
And
cares about the people.
it's not exploiting, it's not him exploiting Vin at all, in at least in any way that I'm currently interpreting in this moment.
Yeah.
Yeah. Your freedom in exchange for his victory,
He's not using me.
Vin said. Zane stood. Vin turned slightly, watching carefully as he walked into the mists, away from tents, torches, and soldiers. He paused, standing a short distance away, looking up. Even with the light of tents and fires, this camp was claimed by the mists. It spun all around them. From within it, the torchlight and campfires seemed insignificant, like dying coals. That's another thing. This is nighttime. The soldiers are going to be afraid of the mist. How are they going to stand up against Vin right now?
Well, look, I don't know if they'll be afraid of the mist as Scar would be, like normal Scar, because they are soldiers. They should probably be used to it by now, but they would be easily spooked, I would say.
Yeah, I think it would be easier for Vin in the mist.
What that's saying. And also just another thing, the mists, the fact that Branderson is referring to the mists now, I'm like, what is the mist creature gonna come? What's gonna happen?
That would not be good. It would be interesting if it ended up being on her side and it killed Straff or Zane. That would be really interesting.
It's just another factor that you could bring in to create chaos. That's what I mean. Like, I don't think she could order it or anything like that. I'm just saying, like, it would be another confusion bit.
Right. Yeah. What is this to him? Zane said quietly, sweeping a hand around him. Can he ever understand the mists? Can he ever understand you?
He loves me,
Vin said, glancing back at the shadowed forms. They had fallen quiet for a moment, Straff obviously considering Elend's threats. He loves you? Zane asked. Or he loves having you?
Elend isn't like that. He's a good man.
Good or not, you aren't like him, Zane said, voice echoing in the night to her tin-enhanced ears. Can he understand what it is to be one of us? Can he know the things we know? Care about the things we love? Has he ever seen those? Zane gestured upward toward the sky. Far beyond the mists, lights shone in the sky, like tiny freckles, stars invisible to the normal eye. Only a person burning tin could penetrate the mists and see them shining. That's very sad.
Yeah.
But also I mean, I've said it about Zane 1,000 times. I don't need to say it again here. I probably will in the future.
Good. Yeah, just no, Zane. Just shut up. Look, I understand what he's talking about, and yes, Vin has questioned that, but that does not mean that he is incapable of loving her. Like, you don't have to be able to experience absolutely everything another person experiences in order to love them. It's called empathy.
Yeah. And Elend really hasn't done anything, at least that I can tell, that would make her think that he only loves having her. And I hope and think that that's going to be the saving grace when Vin ultimately decides not to go with Zane, if that's how this is going to go.
Yeah. Look, what is dangerous or what is at play here is Vin's own insecurity and her lack of self-worth. So she might lean into that and think, go into those thoughts and be like, I don't deserve him anyway. He's good. I'm not like him. That's what she might get caught in. And that might make her, she has to really rely and trust on the fact that that Elend loves her. And that's very difficult for her to do. She'll just be like, yeah, he loves me. Like, she said it, she's saying it, cool, but she needs to stick with that.
Well said. She remembered the first time Kelsier had shown them to her. She remembered how stunned she had been that the stars had been there all along, invisible beyond the mists. Zane continued to point upward.
Lord Ruler.
Vin whispered, taking a small step away from the tent. Through the swirling mists and the reflected light of the tent, she could see something on Zane's arm. Oh no. She sees the
Ooh.
scars.
Mm-hmm.
She...
Uh-oh.
Mhm. The skin was covered with thin white streaks. Scars. Zane immediately lowered his arm, hiding the scarred flesh with his sleeve.
Oh, Vin. I've just seen the next line. Here we go. You were in the pits of Hathsin,
Vin said quietly.
like Kelsia.
Zane looked away.
I'm sorry.
Zane turned back, smiling in the night. It was a firm, confident smile. He stepped forward. I understand you, Vin. Then he bowed slightly to her and jumped away, disappearing into the mists. Inside the room, Straff spoke to Elend. Go. Leave my camp.
Okay.
So, wow. We don't know for a fact whether or not Zane was actually at the pits of Hathsin, because we know he cuts himself, but I'm pretty sure that he was at the pits of Hathsin.
Maybe that's where he got his atium.
Yeah.
Because he's got a lot of atium.
Yeah. Maybe he was the guy in charge of the pits. No. That wouldn't have. And Zane has had thoughts about his mother, hasn't he? And growing up in squalor. That's the pits of Hathsin go way beyond squalor. So, yeah, I think it's a misinterpretation. I think it's one that he purposefully.
He lets
I
Vin
don't.
do it.
Yes, I don't think he did it purposefully, because he hit it fairly quickly. Vin's I'm sorry will hopefully lead to a positive arc for Zane, because it will get her to show him some empathy in the same way that she shows Dorkus Sor empathy. Yes?
Yeah.
Maybe.
But
hey, they've gotten out of this alive so far.
Yeah. Yep. They've gotten it out alive. They did it, and now I'm just like, okay, then leave Zane alone, okay? No. We don't have, not tonight, just please.
The carriage rolled away. Straff stood outside his tent, heedless of the mists, still feeling a bit stunned. I let him go. Why did I let him go? Oh, this is a Straff POV.
What's going on in his head?
Yeah, I hope we get some of the information that Elend was curious about. Yet even now he could feel her touch, slamming against him, one emotion after another, like a treasonous maelstrom within him, and then nothing, like a massive hand grabbing his soul and squeezing it into painful submission. It had felt the way he thought death might. No Allomancer could be that powerful. Zane respects her, Straff thought, and everyone says she killed the Lord Ruler. That little thing. It couldn't be. It seemed impossible, and apparently that was precisely the way she wanted it to seem. Everything had been going so well. The information provided by Zane's Khandra spy had been accurate. Elend did try to make an alliance. The frightening thing about it was that Straff might have gone along with it, assuming Elend to be of no consequence, if the spy hadn't sent warning. Even so, Elend had bested him. Straff had even been prepared for their feigning weakness, and he had still fallen. She's so powerful. I really like that Straff is spinning right now.
We need him to be reeling and not knowing what to do. And okay, so the Khandra has sent warning.
Yes.
But that was early on.
Yes. Also important to note, Straff thinks it's Zane's Khandra, not his Khandra, not Tensoon. And we know that Zane has his own stockpile of Atium. So
he could have his own, he could have his own contract. So that also means that if Zane changes sides, then the Khandra can too.
Yeah. Wait, what?
If Zane is the Khandra's master.
Oh, yes. I just heard it. Yes. A figure in black stepped out of the mists and walked up to Straff. You look like you've seen a ghost, Father, Zane said with a smile. Your own, perhaps? Was there anyone else out there, Zane? Straff asked, too shaken for repartee at the moment. Another couple of Mistborn, perhaps helping her? Oh, the cope. Zane shook his head. No, she really is that strong. He turned to walk back out into the mists. Zane, if she's really that strong, why not join her? You don't have to be Straff's tool.
Yeah.
Zane, Straff snapped, making the man pause. We're going to change plans. I want you to kill her. Zane turned. But she's too dangerous. Plus, we now have the information we wanted to get from her. They don't have the atium. You believe them? Zane asked. Straff paused.
Ooh. So Zane's playing him back. Okay.
Yes, because the Khandra can't lie to Zane.
Mm.
And we assume it's Dagasaur, who had heard from Vin's own lips that she was out of atium. But we already know that Zane is worried he can't kill her or doesn't want to.
Yeah, there's a lot of complex emotions there. It's not even just that he's not sure he can. It's that he's not sure he wants to. Yeah.
Straff paused. After how thoroughly he'd been manipulated this evening, he wasn't going to trust anything he thought he'd learned. No, he decided, but we'll find it another way. I want that girl dead, Zane. Are we attacking the city for real, then? Straff almost gave the order, commanding his armies to prepare for a morning assault. The preliminary attack had gone well, showing that the defenses were hardly impressive. Straff could take that wall, then use it against Set. Ellen's final words before departing this evening made him stop. Send your armies against my city, father, the boy had said, and die. You felt her power, and you know what she can do. You can try to hide, you can even conquer my city, but she will find you, and she will kill you. Your only option is to wait. I'll contact you when my armies are prepared to attack Set. We'll strike together, as I said earlier. Straff couldn't depend on that. The boy had changed, had become strong somehow. If they did attack together, Straff had no illusions as to how quickly he'd be betrayed. Good. Smart, Straff. At least it's that obvious.
And well, but also he's actually taking Ellen as consequential now as well.
Mm-hmm. Do you think... Okay, so then there are two options here. Straff allies with the Kolos. Very dangerous. Straff goes home.
No, I don't think he's the kind of guy that will go home. Well, maybe no. He did retreat. Yeah, he has to be well and truly screwed for him to leave. That's the thing.
Why can't he ally with Set and take the city with Set at the same time? If Set just doesn't want the city? Why is that such an issue?
Maybe he isn't allied with Set yet.
Yeah. Straff couldn't depend on that. The boy had changed, had become strong somehow. If they did attack together, Straff had no illusions as to how quickly he'd be betrayed. But he couldn't assault Luthadel while that girl was alive, not knowing her strength, having felt her touch on his emotions. No, he finally said to Zane's question, we won't attack. Not until you kill her. That might be harder than you make it sound, father, Zane said. I'll need some help. What kind of help? A strike team. Allomancers that can't be traced. Oh, Zane, but okay. Zane was speaking of a particular group. Most Allomancers were easy to identify because of their noble lineages, but Straff had access to some special resources. There was a reason that he had so many mistresses, dozens and dozens of them. Some thought it was simply because he was lustful. That wasn't it at all. More mistresses meant more children, and more children, born from a high noble line like his, meant more Allomancers. He'd only spawned one mistborn, but there were many mistings.
Oh gosh, so he's got just this army of bastards, basically.
Wow. I love that. Like, I hate it, but I love it.
Mm-hmm.
What great justification
For his
dark. I love how dark it is.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, sorry, I'm not buying that it's just for the babies, okay?
Yeah, no, definitely not. It's interesting, though. If you're going to raise those kids in squalor, why do you think you'll be able to trust them all?
Yeah, exactly. If you're going to raise them as these tools and not nurture them, then what do you think is going to happen? They're going to be great.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Good for you.
It will be done, Straff said. They may not survive the encounter, Father, Zane warned, still standing in the mists. Yeah, so he knows he's basically ordering his children to be slaughtered, possibly, probably, almost certainly.
Yeah, but he doesn't care.
That awful sensation returned, the sense of nothingness, the horrible knowledge that someone else had complete and total control over his emotions. Nobody should have that much power over him, especially not Elend. He should be dead. He came right to me, and I let him go. Get rid of her, Straff said. Do anything you need to, Zane. Anything. Zane nodded, then walked away with a self-satisfied stroll. Straff returned to his tent and sent for Hoselle again. She looked enough like Ellen's girl. It would do him good to remind himself that most of the time, he really was in control.
Yes, he's filthy.
Wow. This chapter is so epic.
Yeah, it is. As a blind read, it's going hard. But I think just no matter how we read it, it would just be a crazy chapter.
You don't think this attack is going to happen right now, do you?
I don't know. I do not know. I just want to find out what happens.
Ellen sat back in the carriage, a little stunned. I'm still alive, he thought with growing excitement. I did it! I convinced Straff to leave the city alone. Did you though, Ellen? Don't get overconfident. Enjoy the high, but come back
Beware.
down soon. For a time at least. Okay, good. There it is. Good. Luthadel's safety depended on Straff remaining frightened of Vin, but, while any victory was an enormous one for Elend, he hadn't failed his people. He was their king, and his plan, crazy though it might have seemed, had worked. The small crown on his head suddenly didn't seem as heavy as it had before. Cool line. Vin sat across from him. She didn't look nearly as pleased as she could have. We did it, Vin, Ellen said. It wasn't what we planned, but it worked. Straff won't dare attack the city now. She nodded quietly. Ellen frowned. It's because of you that the city will be safe. You know that, right? If you hadn't been there, well, of course, if it hadn't been for you, the entire Final Empire would still be enslaved.
Because I killed the Lord Ruler,
she said quietly. Ellen nodded.
But it was Kelsier's plan, the crew's skills, the people's strength of will that freed the Empire. I just held the knife.
No, Vin, you chose to go stop the Lord Ruler. That was never in the plan.
Yeah, sorry, Vin. Oh, she just completely cancels herself out. She doesn't think about her own agency and her own will.
Yeah. You make it sound like a trivial thing, Vin, he said. It's not. You're a fantastic allomancer. I mean, and it really, Vin, it was your choice. You could have left with Elend.
Exactly.
Anyway.
You went.
Now
you
I'm
went
mad
for
at
it.
Vin.
Yeah, she has been infected. You can see by her quietness and stuff. She's been infected by Zane's words.
Yeah. She was triggered by the scars.
You
make it sound like a trivial thing, Vin, he said. It's not. You're a fantastic allomancer. Ham says he can't beat you even in an unfair fight anymore, and you've kept the palace free of assassins. There's nobody like you in all of the Final Empire. Strangely, his words made her huddle into the corner, a little farther. She turned, watching out the window, eyes staring into the mists.
Thank you,
she said softly. Did she say that to Elend or Zane?
Oh, goodness. I think it's Zane.
Oh, no.
No, Vin.
Elend wrinkled his brow. He didn't even say anything uniquely effective. It was the scars. Okay. No, don't do this, Vin. Elend, do not break up with Elend right now, Vin. Elend wrinkled his brow. Every time I begin to think I've figured out what's going on in her head. He moved over, putting an arm around her. Vin, what's wrong? She was silent, then finally shook her head, forcing a smile.
It's nothing, Elend. You're right to be excited. You're brilliant in there. I doubt even Kelsier could have manipulated Straff so neatly.
I'm really... Vin? I'm speechless. I'm sorry, I'm speechless. A forced smile. That's not good. That is really not good. That sinks my heart right now.
Yeah, what is happening, Vin? And he's asking what's wrong. Talk to him.
Ellen smiled and pulled her close, impatient as the carriage rolled up to the dark city. The doors of Tingate opened hesitantly, and Ellen saw a group of men standing right inside the courtyard. Ham held aloft a lantern in the mists. Ellen, I know you're high on victory right now, but please know that that was a fake smile.
Yeah, and
Say
no, but
something.
this is his POV, so he did know it's a fake smile. He knows that it's a hesitant little smile, and it's
Yeah,
forcing a smile. She forced the smile. He
okay,
knows that she forced it. Yeah.
okay. Elland didn't wait for the carriage to stop on its own. He opened the door and hopped down as it was rolling to a halt. His friends began to smile eagerly. The gates thumped closed. It worked? Ham asked hesitantly as Elland approached. You did it? Kind of, Elland said with a smile, clasping hands with Ham, Breeze, Doxson, and finally Spook. Even the Khandra, Orasur, was there. He padded over to the carriage, waiting for Vin. The initial feint didn't go so well. My father didn't bite on an alliance, but then I told him I'd kill him.
Ooh, that's not how it. No, that was not a good thing. Considering how Vin is feeling right now, I told him I'd kill him. Doesn't work. Okay, I
It
know
would be worse, though, for Vin if he said, but then I told him Vin would kill him.
I suppose, yeah. It's just then we maybe would have softened it better. We'd kill him.
Yeah, I think he could have worded that better.
Mm-hmm.
I don't mean Sanderson, I mean Elland.
Yeah.
Wait, how was that a good idea? Ham asked. We overlooked one of our greatest resources, my friends, Ellen said as Vin climbed. Oh no, I see where this is going. Oh no.
He's
We
even saying she's a resource. Oh
Yeah.
dear.
Oh no.
And this does go back to the remember when he said you're worth an arm even.
Yep. We overlooked one of our greatest resources, my friends, Ellen said as Vin climbed down from the carriage. Ellen turned, waving his hand toward her. We have a weapon like nothing they can match. Straff expected me to come begging, and he was ready to control that situation. But when I mentioned what would happen to him and his army if Vin's anger was roused... My dear man, Breeze said, you went into the camp of the strongest king in the final empire, and you threatened him? Yes, I did. Brilliant! I know, Ellen said. I told my father that he was going to let me leave his camp and that he was going to leave Luthadel alone. Otherwise, I'd have Vin kill him and every general in his army. He put his arm around Vin. Oh no. I hate
I'd
this.
have him kill. I'd have Vin. I'd have Vin. Oh god, this doesn't work.
He put his arm around Vin. She smiled at the group, but he could tell that something was still troubling her. She doesn't think I did a good job. No, Ellen! Oh, I hate this. Why are you making me read this? She doesn't think I did a good job, Elland realized. She saw a better way to manipulate Straff, but she doesn't want to spoil my enthusiasm. Oh, no. Oh, no.
She's rethinking things, and look, I understand her feelings. I really do. It kind of feels strange that he was using Vin's reaction, which would be real, as a bargaining chip, as not a bargaining, but as a threat. And it's just like Vin can use that. Vin has the ability to use that. She can make that choice. It just feels a bit strange having him do it, but he was in that situation. He had to. Like, he had to. That's the thing. Like, I'm just thinking, I'm trying to put myself in Vin's shoes, and I'm like, listen, I would want my husband to use, if I was strong and powerful, whatever, and someone threatened him, I'd be like, yes, you use me as a threat, absolutely. But I would need to sign off on that first. But you can't really do that in this situation. So Vin needs to kind of pick through that and understand and just explain herself and see the reality of it, because it's a highly emotional thing, and Zane has pulled on certain strings there.
Yeah. And Elland getting the reason wrong is going to backfire horribly for Elland and Vin, both of them.
Yeah. Part 3 is going to be horrible.
Mm-hmm. Well, guess we won't be needing a new king, Spook said with a smile. I was kind of looking forward to taking the job.
Okay, Spook. Very funny. King Spook.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, look, that was actually a funny joke. Good one. Ellen laughed. No, it was a cringe joke, but it was funny cringe. Ellen laughed. I don't intend to vacate the position for quite some time yet. We'll let the people know that Straff has been cowed, if temporarily. That should boost morale a bit. Then we deal with the assembly. Hopefully they'll pass a resolution to wait for me to meet with Set like I did with Straff. Good luck on that one,
Yeah, the
Ellen.
assembly. Yeah. Good luck. Absolutely.
No, there's no way that the assembly is going to be playing ball after the shenanigans that he just pulled with Straff.
The assembly is not in the best place, even if it's a problem without this having happened. It was already a problem. So
Yeah.
whatever is going to go on now is just worse. So
Yep.
cool, Ellen. You know what? I'm shame.
Yeah.
You've got a lot to think about. I guess he's just very. It's the relief of just not being dead, I suppose.
Yeah. Shall we have a celebration back at the palace? Breeze asked. As fond as I am of the mists, I doubt the courtyard is an appropriate place to be discussing these issues. Ellen patted him on the back and nodded. Ham and Doxson joined him and Vin, while the others took the carriage they'd come in. Ellen glanced oddly at Doxson as he climbed into the carriage. Ordinarily, the man would have chosen the other vehicle, the one Ellen wasn't in. Is Doxson the spy?
I don't know, but also if Doxson is maybe that we could also cope that and say Doxson is warming to him because he's shown strength.
Maybe.
Development.
Doxson wouldn't sell Elend out for a position of power on the assembly, would he?
No.
I don't think I would like to believe he wouldn't either, but
Yeah, because he knows that his position of power on the assembly would not really do much. Nah, I don't feel like that. That doesn't feel right.
And we're pretty darn confident it's Dogasur that's the Khandra, right? There's no way it's Doxson because we're that certain. It can't all be red herrings.
It could be a twist. We'll see what happens. But
double the Khandra, double the fun.
Because Doxson has been kind of, we haven't had much of Doxson. He's been
That's
out.
True.
So it's suspicious. Also, Doxson maybe one thing, maybe he is actually quite, because he's the administrator and whatever, he actually has a better handle on the assembly than Ellen realizes. So it's not so much that he would sell him out for a position of power. It's maybe that he actually has influence now. Maybe there's something in this absence of Doxson.
Yeah, I mean, maybe it was him, as you said, earning his respect, but I don't know, just something about it was ominous to me.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm paranoid by nature, I suppose.
Yeah, we have to be in this book.
Yeah. Honestly, Elend, Ham said as he settled into his seat, I'm impressed. I half thought we were going to have to raid that camp to get you back. Ellen smiled, eyeing Doxson, who sat down as the carriage began moving. He pulled open his satchel and took out a sealed envelope. He looked up and met Ellen's eyes. This came from the assembly members for you a short time ago, Your Majesty. Ellen paused, then he took it and broke the seal. What is it? I'm not sure, Doxson said, but I've already started hearing rumors. It's the coup. It's the coup.
Mm-hmm.
Vin leaned in, reading over Ellen's arm as he scanned the sheet inside. Your Majesty, this note is to inform you that by unanimous vote, the Assembly has decided to invoke the Charter's no-confidence clause. We appreciate your efforts on behalf of the city, but the current situation calls for a different kind of leadership than Your Majesty can provide. We take this step with no hostility, but only resignation. We see no other alternative and must act for the good of Luthadel. We regret to have to inform you of this by letter. It was signed by all 23 members of the Assembly. Ellen lowered the paper, shocked. What? Ham asked. I've just been deposed, Ellen said quietly. The end of part 2. We saw it coming.
Yeah, we saw it coming.
How did he not?
It was very unceremonious. And yes, sorry, we don't have the accords or whatever the hell, the charter thing. Okay, we don't have that on file. He knows no confidence is a thing. that the assembly could do. Hello? What now? What I love that in the beginning of the chapter, we're like, what could go wrong? It's like, well, so much.
Yeah. So what's the next step then? Elend has been acting as general thanks to Tindwyl, so he might still have the loyalty of his army, but he really does not want to be a forceful ruler, essentially. Yeah. He doesn't want to be a Straff. And I suppose this is where his ideals are ultimately going to be tested. If everyone else decides that he's wrong, who is he to say that they don't have a better idea than he does? Is he just going to feel he has to accept it? He could go to them with this good news that he convinced Straff not to attack, but he didn't really. I mean, it only baited Straff into sending a hit squad after Vin. So
yeah, it's not looking good. I'm exhausted.
Yeah.
I'm just like, I don't know. I'm so sorry. I just don't have any idea what I would do. I need to digest this, reread it and digest it, because I just don't know what I would do. Yeah.
Wow. This was a roller coaster.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to have to sit and ruminate on this one for a bit because, yeah, well, you all heard it.
Well,
anything?
Like the video.
If you would like to, it would be very helpful to me, but only if you really liked the video. Subscribe to that darn Kitte when you get a chance, because she's got a wonderful channel herself, and we'll see you next time. Okay, thanks, bye.
Thanks, bye. Sorry, I have a cat.
Strap.
I have a cat meowing, so just hold on.
Cute.
Let the door open. Open the door. Open the door. Yes, Ixie. Okay, good.